Hey everybody, it's Dr. Eric Balcavage. We're back for another edition of Thyroid Thursday, and today we're talking about the deiodinases. These are the enzymes that either activate or deactivate your thyroid hormones. Why does this matter? Because many of you struggle with chronic hypothyroid signs and symptoms despite having a normalized TSH or a normalized T4, and your medical endocrinologist doesn't seem to care. As long as TSH is good and free T4 is good, they think everything else is good. Then you'll be frustrated, have chronic hypothyroid symptoms despite a normal TSH and free T4. You'll go to an integrative or functional practitioner, and they may run total T3, free T3, reverse T3, and they may say the reason you have chronic hypothyroid symptoms is because your T3 is low and your body can't convert T4 to T3. That's not technically true. I want to explain to you what really happens so that you have a better understanding, and it probably will change what you think about your labs when you see them and potentially your strategy. So T4 is the primary hormone that your thyroid gland makes. No other cells make it, so you have to have a healthy thyroid gland to make sufficient T4. If the thyroid gland isn't making T4, yes, you can get T4 medication, and you need it because the thyroid gland is the only gland that makes it. When T4 gets to cells, different cells have different levels of what we call deiodinases, and there's three of them: deiodinase 1, deiodinase 2, deiodinase 3. So the liver and the kidneys primarily have deiodinase 1, and they'll take this T4, they'll convert it via deiodinase 1 to T3, and then that T3 maybe hangs out in the cell a short period of time, maybe 30, 60 minutes, goes right back out of the cell and supports the circulating pool of T3. In other cells, deiodinase 2 is the primary converting hormone. And when T4 gets to a cell that has deiodinase 2, and that cell's in a low stress state, that cell's going to convert T4 to T3 with this deiodinase 2. And the cool thing about that is the T3 that's made by that process, based on Dr. Bianco's work, it's going to stay in the cell about 8 hours and have a longer lasting impact than T3 that's brought in from the bloodstream. So really important to have good deiodinase 2 conversion. The other deiodinase enzyme is deiodinase 3, and this is the primary deactivating enzyme. So when T4 comes to a cell, and that cell's under stress or danger or some type of altered function going on in that cell, infection via bacteria, virus, something along those lines, that cell typically wants to downregulate its metabolism. So what it does is it gets more deiodinase 3 activation. That takes that T4, converts it to T3, and pushes it right back out of the cell. Now, a lot of people, especially in integrative and functional medicine, will say that reverse T3 blocks T3 from binding to this receptor. And essentially what it's doing is it's competing with T3. So if reverse T3 is high, it's blocking T3 from binding. And that's not been shown to be true. And what's even more important is deiodinase 3 is at the plasma membranes, right? The cell membrane. So T4 may not even get far into the cell, and it's converted into reverse T3 and then it's pushed right back out of the cell. So it's not in high levels in the cell competing with T3. What's actually blocking T3 from binding to those receptors and causing your low hypothyroid symptoms is a couple things. It is perceived danger, perceived by your mitochondria in your cell. The little engines in your cell, they have a little sensor, and when they sense danger, they go into a protection mode, slow down their metabolism. We get an upregulation of deiodinase 3, so there's less T3 inside the cell. That's why you feel hypothyroid. If you want to blame anything for blocking T3, this is the guy, deiodinase 3. And that doesn't get activated unless there's cell stress inflammatory mechanisms. Generally, it's really pretty low. It's only under inflammatory conditions that this typically gets upregulated. So that's the importance of these guys. Now, with T3 that's in the bloodstream, T3 can come directly into the cell and go to this receptor, make you feel good. But T3, under inflammatory mechanisms, can be acted on by this deiodinase 2, and then you have T2. And T2 does have some limited function. It can bind to T3 receptors, and still support some functions of the cell and mitochondria. But it's like having a backup generator in your house, right? It can't do anything. It's not like having a full Generac. It's like having one of those gas-powered generators. You can only run one light in your refrigerator maybe. So deiodinase 3 is going to reduce the T3 levels inside the cell. That's why you have low T3. It's because there's cell stress inflammatory mechanisms going on, and the cells are adaptively down-regulating their metabolism, okay? This isn't broken physiology. Your body knows how to do it. But because of the cell stress inflammatory mechanisms impacting the cell, there's decreased deiodinase 2 and increased deiodinase 3. That means there's decreased T3 being made in the cell, which is going to create more hypothyroid signs and symptoms. And then there's going to be less T3 in circulation. Now, one key thing I want to talk about, because a lot of people think the liver and kidney contribute most of the T3 to circulation via deiodinase 1. And that does not appear to be the issue, to be the reality. Matter of fact, deiodinase 1's primary job, especially at the liver and kidney, is to metabolize this stuff, to get rid of reverse T3 so it doesn't pile up in the bloodstream. That's its primary job. So when you have low T3, okay, don't think that is the problem. That is the sign of a problem. That means your cells are in stress. What you need to focus on is what's creating that cell stress. Is it because you have really poor sleep habits and behaviors? Is it because you have poor breathing, especially when you're sleeping? Is it because you have some type of dysbiosis going on in your gut? Is it because you have maybe a bacteria or a virus or fungal infection or overgrowth in the body that's triggering danger signals? Maybe it's from toxicity, from chemicals or from your food. Or maybe you're eating a lot of pro-inflammatory food. Or maybe you've got a lot of stress and trauma in your life from relationships and work and finances. Or maybe it's a combination of all those things. But what you don't have is reverse T3 preventing or blocking T3 from getting to the receptor, okay? The reverse T3 doesn't hang out in the cell, doesn't block T3 from binding. When you see elevated reverse T3 and low T3, that is a sign of cell stress and inflammation. And that's what you need to focus on. Putting more T3 into this system may change symptoms temporarily, but it doesn't change the fact that there's cell stress and inflammatory mechanisms going on. So now your body's just working harder to get rid of T3. Some T3 supports the cell, but even more importantly, that increased T3 coming into the cell that the cell doesn't want can actually contribute to more oxidative stress, more cell damage long-term, and actually create more problems, okay? So if you have any questions regarding the deiodinases and why you have low T3, reach out to me on Instagram or put comments below wherever you watch this video. If you're struggling with low T3 and everybody's been telling you you just need to take more T3, and when you take more T3 you only temporarily feel good, but long term you just keep taking more and you still don't feel good, DM me Discovery and my team will send you a link to a complimentary discovery call. We can have a conversation about what I might be able to do to help you recover your thyroid physiology. All right, take care.